All right, hello, excellent people. This is part two. We ran out of data. I cleared out some stuff on my phone. We're going to continue. This is obviously, as we discussed in the very beginning of part one, the first of many, and so it's going to be error prone, and I don't care.
Fair enough.
I'm not totally sure where we were as far as the train of thought we were, and I didn't even do the due diligence of going back and finding out. But I think that one of the things we were talking about was this sort of like, when I ask you to define excellence, you give me something, and then we take that thing and we run with it and we keep unpacking, right?
Right.
That's what I want to be doing, rather than interviewing famous people and asking them to narrate their normal speech, because that's what podcasts often end up being.
Yep.
It's like, so-and-so famous person, you ask them a question, they speak for 10 minutes, then you ask them the second question. And I always find that very disappointing as a listener, because I'm like, so you're literally coming in with prepared, like you, the interviewer, come in with prepared statements or prepared questions, and you don't have any give and take. It's like, are you not interested in what they have to say?
Right.
Because that's what it feels like to me. It's like, so you're just not interested. Because if you say something that's interesting, I'm going to ignore my other questions and I'm going to talk about what's interesting right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know we were digging into effectiveness. We probably got far enough in. I do have something that I wrote down while you were talking that I want to dig into, which is, let's talk about advice. Okay. You mentioned a moment ago that you have done a lot with other people's advice, right? So here's a question that's common with a slight twist. People often ask, what advice do you have for so-and-so, right?
Okay.
But instead of that, I want to say, tell me about advice that has been given to you that is useful.
Okay.
What's the best advice you've gotten? Or what are some good pieces of advice that you've gotten?
So, there's three that kind of come to mind. The first one I'll say is, I'm a very open person. I'm very open and comfortable and touchy-feely and like, I know, right? And I'm wear my heart on my sleeve kind of stuff. And when I meet people, I almost always want to see the best in them, which as a business person can kind of get you in trouble. Because somebody will be like, oh, can you give me a deal? And I'll be like, oh, I can give you a deal. And I can give you a deal and you a deal and you a deal.
Everyone gets a deal.
Everyone gets a deal. I go all Oprah Winfrey on people. And Samantha is much more standoffish. Samantha is much more...
Samantha is his wife.
It's my wife, yes.
And business partner.
And she is...
life partner.
Partner in all things. And crime partner. So she is very standoffish. She's not as trusting of people. And it's just like, it's not that she doesn't like people or love people. It's just she takes a moment to warm up. Sometimes that moment lasts years. So... but I have learned through her, and she has given me advice on like how like you can still be an open, happy person, but you need to learn to give a little less, because you empty your cup. And she would see this, like she would see the bad side of that, which is I'm at home and the deals have stretched me too thin, and now she and the kids are getting the worst of me, right? When everyone else is getting the best of me. So that's one piece of advice I've learned to listen to that has changed my life.
So I think that you just hit on like the classic entrepreneur's problem, which is, they give away their best self to their business.
Yep.
And they don't have anything left for the rest of their life.
Right.
So, and that's the thing, we as entrepreneurs get hyper focused. Like you can't be an entrepreneur without being obsessive.
Yeah.
Like successful entrepreneurs are obsessives. And non-obsessives are unsuccessful at entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think
because they're like, oh, that sounds cool. I think I like that. Yep. And then they're like, oh God, I don't have nearly enough obsessiveness about me to make this actually work.
Well, and so like I didn't get into mushrooms because I thought I thought there was a possibility of a living, but I didn't think I was going to make a lot of money off mushrooms. What I really thought was these things are freaking cool, and I'm obsessed with them, and that's what I got into it for. In the beginning. And you certainly want to make sure that your obsession lines up with mathematics in the form of money flow. But,
well, when you're going to make your living around it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a day job and you want to be obsessed with something as your hobby, then man, go for it. I
Right.
mean, that's what this project is for me. Is I'm actually spending a lot of time now on this project and making no money with no foreseeable income in the next 6 to 12 months
Right.
because I have a day job.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Samantha and bringing home
Yes.
your bad side, and I think that's a really good point. Though, is like there's a real challenge, and frankly, this ties into my goal of making this about excellence. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellence is knowing where to draw the line.
Yeah.
Right.
I
You're
think that's
talking about drawing a line. You're talking about giving of yourself, but not giving so much of yourself that you can't give of yourself to the people that you have obligations to, because your family, you have an obligation to give them a good part of yourself.
Absolutely. 100%.
And if you give so much of yourself to your business and your customers and your employees that you can't give of yourself to your family, then you are failing your family. And you cannot do that for an extended period of time.
No.
They will give you a lot of grace because that's what families do.
Yes.
But
Well, my family knows that there's that. We talked about the ebb and flow in part one. Like, my family knows that there's an ebb and flow. There's sometimes when Dad's got to work and Dad's going to work, and he's not going to be happy if he's interrupted, and all these other things. But they also know that usually the ebb goes away, the flow comes back. Dad's happy, he's involved, he's taking a couple of days off work for a long weekend. We're doing stuff together, that kind of thing.
for sure.
And then that actually leads to I said there were about 3 pieces of advice.
Before you go on to number
yeah.
2, I want to talk about one more thing on that same topic.
Yeah, sure.
We had a conversation years ago now where you guys were buckling down on the business and you were not taking any personal time. And I told you then that it was my opinion that you should have a contract with yourself and say, I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to sacrifice my personal freedom, sacrifice my personal health, sacrifice my family connections, etc., and be 100% singularly focused on the business for 1 month, for 3 months, for 6 months.
But to have an
But then it is done, and if I can't get done what I wanted to get done in that time, so be it. It wasn't meant to be, or it wasn't meant to be on that timeline, or whatever.
So that's actually the number 2, anyways.
Okay, go for it. Jump right into number 2.
Yeah, that is actually the number 2, and that.
Oh, number 2 was my advice to you.
Yeah, that was so. Number 2 was simply the fact that when you moved back and moved in with us, and you saw how just absolutely overwhelmed we were from the old infrastructure projects that was laying around, but down to like. Everything was so business. You had advised us to cut back on things, right? To cull a lot of aspects of our life and start back rebuilding the foundation, right? And pick 2, or you said, what was it, 2 to 5 things or something like that. And you're like 5 if you just absolutely cannot narrow it down.
I still don't believe 5 can be done.
You know what? I've tried it, and you're right. And 4 I can do.
4 is hard.
It is hard.
One of them is always getting dropped.
Yeah, that is absolutely the case.
So
you have to have an hierarchy.
To clarify real quick, I have a priority structure that I use that I'll articulate some other time, but it's a means of clarifying your goals for your life. And there's a whole process, and we sat down together. I used to do this like quarterly or biannually for myself, and then when I came home to Tennessee and moved in with Andrew and Samantha after I got divorced 4 years ago, and was kind of just sort of like getting myself going again, I shared this process with them, and the result of the process is you have a priorities hierarchy so that you know what you need to be spending your time on, and you know not only what but how you're spending your time. And what it does is it removes the decision process from the moment, because I'm spending X hours per week, or I'm doing X sessions per week on this project, and I'm doing this project and this project and this project, and then any bonus time is spent on whatever. But the point of this system is to narrow your focus so that you can actually get shit done on important goals. So right now, I have four goals. I have four priorities. My business,
Mm-hmm.
my relationship with my wife.
Yep.
So I am married again. People who've been watching my stuff already know that I'm married, but it's my second wife, and it's a much, much better marriage. I'm so happy with it. So that's an aside, but we'll talk about this some other time. The third thing is our farms. My wife and I live on a hobby farm, 11 acres out in the country. We're actively rehabilitating a generally neglected piece of land.
Yep.
And so she's the farm manager and I'm the farm hand, but I still do, part-time work during the week doing various projects on the farm. And then the fourth thing is my physical fitness / martial and sport development. It's a very large, broad category. I lift weights, I grapple, I play tennis, I ride Anne's horse, I run. There's a bunch of stuff going on in that general category, but that's that whole broad category of physical fitness and well-being.
It's funny that you've gone to 4 because I have finally forced myself down to go to 3 back in 2020.
Yeah.
And I dropped physical.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, I gained 30 pounds in 2020. I noticed. I know you noticed. In fact, I can notice it right here. But
you should really sit forward so it makes you look even bigger than me.
Right.
If
So
you sit
just like
if you were to sit forward, yeah, look at that. I look like a tiny human now.
Yep. But I dropped that because, in part, because you really taught me to cull, right? Like that was the thing. And so, 2020 we had COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
We had the warehouse build out.
Mm-hmm.
We signed the lease on the warehouse right about the time
brutal.
COVID hit. Yeah.
It was the best lock-in you've ever done in your life.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, well, we're locked in now.
Yeah.
COVID or no COVID, we're going.
Well, we signed the lease. It was like 2 weeks of restaurants not buying anything, and I got so scared. But
I believe it.
But then
I go 2 weeks without a phone call, and I'm like, oh god, where's the next job coming from?
Right. So my 3 things now are family, or business is at the top, family comes second, and that's only because business feeds family. So
mine's the same, where
right.
business is number 1 and Anne's number 2, but she knows, she has the ability, we have a rapport, she has agency to interject.
Right.
And so because she has agency to interject, and I honor it when she does, it's acceptable to have business come first. And also, my business is 2.5 years old. Yours is 6 years old.
Right.
So at 2.5 years old, it needs more attention.
Right.
So please continue.
No,
But I understand, and I actually empathize with putting the business first. I think it makes sense.
Well, yeah, I've talked to my family about it because they see it. They see my printout, and I've told them like, business being first does not actually mean business is first. It actually means that I'm valuing my family higher, but my business feeds everything. Like it keeps them fed, it keeps them doing all the things we love to do. So, and then third is the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So, and that is basically the 3 things I've had.
Which
everything
you
else,
haven't posted on in like 3 weeks.
It's not true. I posted Ben's wedding day.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Good.
Yep.
Because I haven't been on your YouTube in like a week.
Right.
But last week.
Thursday.
Okay, what's today?
Saturday. So
yeah,
3
on
days
like
ago.
Wednesday I checked and there hadn't been anything in like 3 weeks, and I was
That's
like,
true.
Andrew, I want to comment on some shit. Get on there.
Well, and I did post it, and I had several comments about like, where have you been? And I'm like, it's only been 2 weeks. Like I've been getting new gear, I've been playing with things, but
You just can't keep up with my daily posts.
no, man, I can't. Like, oh my gosh,
He puts more effort in it.
I do, and I feel like part of that's fault, and then part of it I think it's not. I don't know. Like I'm in this weird position, but anyways, I had to cull things, and I had to be okay with things, and that was in part because, I'll be honest, it was part of it, and being okay with culling things came from something you said to me one time, which I was like, well, I want to do this, 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 and this. And you're like, well, if you don't do those well, none of those are going to get done. So you have to go down to a few to do them well. But beyond that, you're like, it can change every quarter.
Mm-hmm.
It can change as often as you want it to.
Yep.
I mean, you could literally do a priorities thing every month, though that would be
It wouldn't be enough time.
Right, a high frequency would be hard to do. And in fact, my priorities still have not changed.
Mine haven't either.
Since like early 2020. Because, well, my situation has not really changed. Everything is still going the same it is. So, now that said, having new people in and having time off I am about to change mine and put physicality back in and allow the business to slip down just a little bit because I have people in place to take care of the day to day.
So that actually is a good point. That I would say that that's the only way that I believe 5 is possible, is if you have the infrastructure to support the 5.
Well, and that's what it was. Is like you told me, like it can change. So pull back, cull things that are unnecessary, build the foundation, and then as we build it from the foundation, you can add layers to that foundation. And it was like, yeah, why am I trying to force everything all at once?
Yeah.
Why not get something where that groove is really good and greased, the infrastructure is built out, and then I can go into the next project. Which is why now I'm able to start playing around with, we're growing more exotic type mushrooms. We're growing, we're doing Project Tom. I was talking about in the first part that we're doing a bunch of these other projects, but a lot of these things get tied into the business, and I get help with them. And so again, I get to do more of my bonus projects, but it's because I have that infrastructure. And then the third piece of advice I would say is very similar.
Can I jump in real quick again?
Oh, absolutely.
So before we move on to number 3,
Sure.
Full disclosure, I kind of have 5 priorities right now.
Oh,
because aim at excellence is a priority.
Okay.
And I haven't figured out yet. So here's the disclosure on how I'm able to do it is because I'm only doing the easiest possible things with aim at excellence. So I'm only filming with my phone. I am not editing video. I am doing single takes and I'm putting them out there, and it's like, hate me or love me, and I'm sorry, but I don't have the time to do higher quality. Now, I did just get this Rode Vlogger kit that we're using right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a shotgun mic that we're using to film this on, which gives us a little bit more. It doesn't have better sound quality than the phone camera has, or the phone's built in. But what it does do is it cuts out the surrounding noise better. So like we have a air conditioner unit that's running right now that you can't hear on this recording, but I can hear right now.
Right.
So there's
also a faucet with a leak.
Yeah, there's a leaky faucet that I can hear, and there's the kids upstairs that you guys may not even hear. We're hearing them, but they're not hearing them.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole thing is like I can only have it as a 5th priority because it's so low
bandwidth.
Well, it's low skill. I'm putting time, but all the time is like the lowest. It's the impediment to action, right?
Right.
I haven't talked about impediments to action yet on this channel, but I will eventually. The brief version of this is like you have activation energy, you have impediments to action, right? So you want to basically remove anything that keeps you from taking the initial action, because once you act, you have the momentum of the action to keep you moving.
Oh yeah. So, the amount of times I yell at the kids, "This isn't another impediment to action.
You're impeding me. How dare you?"
I'll go and I'll be like, "Why is the sink full of dishes? I want to go wash my dishes, but now because there's a sink full, I can't properly wash my dish without clearing this first."
Well, remember when I lived here, I would harp on people who says like, "Look, I would cook I would cook dinner, but I'm not gonna wash dishes before I cook dinner,
right?
Because I don't have like even back when I lived here, I didn't have that kind of time. It's like nobody has that kind of time. No modern American has that kind of time. We have so many responsibilities, especially as adults who want something from their lives, right? If you don't want anything from your life, then it's easy,
right?
I made a video the other day, and I was talking about. I think it was yesterday's video. I was talking about on the Daily Excellence. I was talking about boring. I was talking about easy, and I was saying that easy is boring, right? That was the general thesis, right?
Sure.
And one of the quotes that I did on the TikTok account, I even put that text there that said like, "I wish life was easy so I'd always be bored. Said me never."
Fair enough.
Because that's my opinion. Is it's like, yeah, if you want an easy life, you can. You just can't want anything from your life. Yep. But if you want something from your life, it's hard, and you got to work and you got to fight to maintain focus and attention. Okay. So, anyway, that was the point in talking about this fifth priority with aim at excellence. Mm-hmm. The 5th priority is so low action. The activation energy is as low as possible.
Right.
Film on the phone. do 10-minute videos because that's what LinkedIn allows.
Gotcha.
Do TikToks because TikTok is the easiest application ever to use. And no, I am not doing TikTok in a viral fashion at all. I'm not playing TikTok games.
Right.
I'm not doing, filters on the videos. I am literally cutting it. It's all about the content, and it's not at all about the virality. Because maybe when I have time, I'll start playing virality games, and if I do and I get attention, I'll have this body of work that once the people find me through the viral efforts, they'll see the body of work, and if there's value in the body of work, then they'll stay. They'll stay for the body of work. They won't stay for the virality, because that's the thing about viral stuff is super short turnover, right?
Right.
So in the viral stuff, people come for the viral and then they leave for the next viral, versus when they come for the viral and you've got something else worth of value, then they stay for that other thing. So Ben and Stephanie are
It's
here.
the newlyweds.
Yeah, the newlyweds. You guys want to come wave and say hello?
Sure.
It's on this.
It's
phone.
we're on this one, and I forgot that you were even filming with that camera.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Did you turn it back on?
Not for part 2.
Okay, well, so yeah, you can't see because the muff's in the way, but you're on screen.
Nice stuff. Fancy.
We are we're doing a sort of a ad hoc interview coupled with a brainstorm for how I could do an outline for interview process.
Okay.
And we've got like 50 minutes worth of content, so we could probably stop right now.
I'm at.
In fact, why don't we
right
do that?
about 52 minutes. Yeah.
We'll go ahead and stop. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.